Autoweb. Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Autoweb.
Hey everybody, this is Sean V. Bradley, president of Dealer Synergy and the creator of the Millionaire Car Salesman Group on Facebook, Millionaire Car Salesman Club on Clubhouse, and the #1 podcast in the automotive industry, the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. And man, I got a special guest. I've got my friend, Mr. Karim Ellis in the building. What's up, Karim?
I'm blessed and highly favored, man. You know, I have no complaints. Absolutely. Breath in my lungs and I can see straight. So we good to rock.
All right, cool. So I want to just kind of get into this. You are a global motivational speaker. You're a professional speaker and you're on the Les Brown team. You're a protege of literally the greatest motivational speaker to ever touch a mic. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Les has been speaking for 51 plus years at this point in time. He's speaking over 50 countries. He is the greatest by far to ever grace a microphone, without a doubt.
Well, listen, I'm really honored to have you here in the Millionaire Car Salesman Group, as well as, going to be on the podcast probably in about a week or so. Yes. So you just spoke at our IS20G conference in Philadelphia. So let's start with, like, what did you think about, the conference itself?
Somehow I knew you were going to ask me that, right? So I've spoken at many conferences. I mean, I'm no stranger to this. I've been speaking off the record for 20 years. I've been speaking officially for 16 years with a die-hard core message. And I've seen my share of places and spaces of this conference. And I'm not saying this lightly because I want folks to understand the gravity of what I'm talking about, right? This conference is unlike anything I have ever seen before. And I know COVID-19, it shut things down. So I know a lot of conferences went virtual. For you to do this thing live and the magnitude of what you did it at, for me personally, and again, I'm not saying this lightly, you set the bar on a whole different playing field. I'm looking at the conferences I got coming up, I got to speak at, and I know I'm not going to get spoiled the way I got spoiled at this conference. We're not going to have guest star rappers and TV stars and movie stars popping up. You know, I'm upset now because I'm just like, the bar has been set so high. I don't know how I'm gonna make it through 2022. That's all I can say right now. That's all. If that ain't a compliment, I don't know what to tell you.
Nah. So we turned you out. You know what I'm saying? You've been turned out. All right, listen. So everybody, let me just tell you that I met Karim on Clubhouse. And I host a morning motivation called Morning Motivation Inspiration Conversation in the Real Multimillionaire Room. So I have a separate room besides the Millionaire Car Salesman Room on Clubhouse. I have the Real Multimillionaire Room. And when I first heard Karim speak, I was like, damn, because his cadence and his flow, you're going to hear throughout this interview right here, just the magnitude of and depth of training and polish as a speaker. So no, Karim, I really do appreciate your kind words of the IS20G. Philadelphia was awesome. And it was, as the event planner myself, a little disappointing because, we had close to 100 dealers there. It should have been 300 if there wasn't COVID, but the dealers that were there, we acted like there's 1,000 people in the audience. I mean, and we brought the fire. But one of the reasons why I'm interviewing now is because I had a lot of people talk to me and say that they were really inspired by, your message. So I thought of this interview. I got a couple cool questions. Okay. First question is going to be, okay, give us a recap of your session that you did at IS20G.
Oh, wow. So the session I actually talked about is one that's near and dear to my heart. We talked about the concept of G.P.S, my success. And the reason why this is so powerful, I look at your life just like a GPS, right? And we know a GPS is useless till you first decide to give it an address. And I know there's a mixture of folks in the room. So whether you are on the salesman side of it, whether you're on the vendor side of it, whether you are a car dealership owner that has one dealership, or if you juggling 5 or 10 or 15, everything still revolves around the concept of vision. Write the vision and make it plain. So we talked about number one, why it's so important to put an address in your GPS so that you and all the members of your team are going to the same destination. Number two, a GPS moves in clarity, meaning that when a GPS gives me instructions, it's crystal clear about where I'm trying to get to. So if I'm not moving in clarity, that means I'm moving in confusion. As we know, a lot of dealerships came out of the 2020 shutdown moving in a space of confusion because the way we sell cars has changed. The setbacks with the automotive industry has changed. So we understand that we got to move with clarity versus confusion. Number three, we talked about the ability to connect versus dead zones. And what that means is this: a GPS works on connectability, meaning as long as my GPS has that Wi-Fi signal and is connected to that satellite in outer space, my GPS can take me anywhere I want to go. So in this industry, as dealership owners, as salespeople, as vendors, are we clear about who we need to connect to that's going to create dynamic success in this season? Who are the coaches? Who are the mentors? Do we connect in this day and age with our clients? Because the way our clients relate to us has totally changed since COVID-19. But we also talked about the opposite of connectability, which is dead zones. A dead zone is the place you go where if you're not careful, you can be driving around and lose that signal and then lose your way. So we got to understand who, what, and where are the dead zones that we're going to face as we walk into the year of 2022. Some of the dead zones may be, again, the lack of education, because we also talked about some crazy things down there like the metaverse and how the metaverse is going to change the dynamics of everything in this industry. So we talked about relatability to the customers. We talked about using things like video testimonials, so we talked about a lot of crazy things on that. The fourth thing we touched base on was what I call recalculating. Meaning if I put an address in my GPS and I inadvertently make a wrong turn because I'm just not paying attention, or let's say the road is out or it's an accident, the GPS doesn't beat me up and say, go back home, dummy, you can't get to your finish line. The GPS begins to give me alternative routes to get to the finish line. One of the things we saw from coming out at this powerful event, we had nothing but keynote speakers and presenters that gave folks a boatload of ideas on how they can recalculate and still find a way to find fantastic results in a new changing world, a new changing dynamic. And then the last thing we talked about was checking the history log. And the history log is important because if I take a look at my history log, it shows me where I've been spending the majority of my time at. The thing we all got to be careful of jumping into this new season is to check your history log, because my past indicates where I've been spending a lot of my time. But if I'm not careful and my past has to change, then it can inadvertently affect my present, which disrupts the flow of my future. So am I cheating on my 20,022 goals by my 20,020 agenda? I got to be clear about where I'm going in this season. So in a nutshell, that's what we covered in that powerful presentation.
Man, I love it. I absolutely love it. So here's the reality though, Karim, is that you, not being technically a car guy, created your presentation before you walked into my world. You know what I mean? Yes. And I think the presentation was phenomenal, but here's the power question I've been dying to ask you.
Yes.
Now that you, first of all, it's like dog years, like, for like 1 day is like 7 days. It's like you spent almost a full month immersed in automotive in those 3 days.
Yes.
So my question is this.
Uh-oh.
After getting to the event in Philadelphia and spending 3 days with vendors and dealers, listening to all these speakers, hearing all the questions, all the problems, all the frustrations, it's a big question. Uh-oh. Your presentation, I thought, was awesome and flawless for not knowing our industry. But my question is, now that you had 3 days of immersion to the industry,
yes,
what are your thoughts now? What do you think? Like, what did you get out of it from, like, what do you think the biggest problems are? Or what do you think the biggest challenges are? What do you think that you heard the most about? And now, what do you say to that? Meaning, like, your presentation was great for not knowing what the hell was going on. But now that you're there, what did you, if you had been able to do your presentation after seeing the IS-20G, what would have made your presentation?
Wow. So, number one, I'm a strong believer in utilizing the right resources, right? And I think all too often we jump into life's journey and we're not clear about what we need for the journey. In other words, I'm gonna use an analogy. If I'm driving from Cincinnati, Ohio, right, to Philadelphia for the event, thank God I flew. But if I'm driving there, that's a pretty long drive, right? So there's certain resources I need to make that journey something that's going to be acceptable for my standard. And what I found from just listening and getting feedback from a lot of not only the salespeople, right, but the folks that actually own these dealerships and even some of the vendors is, number one, am I actually clear about what strategy is going to create the success in 2022? That's the first thing, because I think a lot of people are using outdated strategies. That goes back to checking that history log. What I found is a lot of folks are throwing a lot of money at marketing. And I think that they might want to rethink the amount of money they're throwing at the marketing budget versus creating better salespeople, having better training, getting better quality out of their salespeople, right? So that's one of the top things I saw right there. Number two, making sure everybody's in alignment on that same exact vision. What it seems like to me is a lot of people have different visions based on different departments. So the owner wants something totally different than what the salesperson does, even though they work at the same exact place. I think the analogy that I used before that still stands true is if I'm going to 2602 Smith Street and I say, Sean, meet me at 2602 Smith Street, and I'm there and you're not, and I give you 10 minutes and I go, well, Sean's not here. Let me call Sean up and say, hey, brother, where you at? You say, man, I'm at 2602 Smith Street. I'm gonna go, hey, I'm here. Where you at? You may be at 2602 Smith Street, but you may be at a different zip code, right? So we're both at the right address, just the wrong area of town. So I think, again, that still falls under the concept of training. That all falls under specified training. So that's the main thing I took away from it, was money is being utilized the wrong way because the dynamic has changed. I don't think it takes a lot of money in this day and age now with the power of social media. There are so many people that are using the computer just for everything that I think that budget can be shipped and swapped and swapped over more towards proper training and helping people learn new sales techniques is going to help take them to the next level.
1000%. So were you surprised at the level of technology and resources for car salespeople, managers, and owners?
Oh, absolutely. Now, here's the thing. I've spoken in so many different corporate arenas. So I've done some automotive talks before, okay? Nothing on the level of what your organization had at this event, because this was totally different, right? But I've always known that technology is the gateway to the future. As it is right now, technology is multiplying quicker and faster than the population can keep up with. I mean, let's be real. The iPhone that I'm talking to you on right now will be outdated probably in 12 months. Apple's going to drop another iPhone, right? So technology is rapidly increasing again and again and again. So there's always going to be technology. The issue being is, can we keep up with the speed that technology is coming along? But it's powerful that we can use that tool as leverage. For folks that don't pay attention to this, leverage is one of the quickest ways you lift a heavy object. So though I'm sitting here behind a nice, pretty heavy 70-pound desk that I'm talking on, I can try to lift it myself and struggle, or I can get a dolly and lift it and move across the floor quicker and faster. So yeah, technology is always going to be a staple because that's the leverage that gets things done quicker and faster.
Okay, so when I told you beforehand that there's a big problem in our industry about attrition, there is a 70 to 80% attrition, and that was before the whole pandemic. With the pandemic, so many people are not wanting to work still. So many major companies, middle-sized companies, and small businesses are all struggling with hiring and retaining employees right now.
Yes.
It's utterly crazy. So the problem I see in our industry, one of the problems is that dealers still, even in the midst of COVID crisis and HR crisis, they're not valuing their human resources as much as they should. They rather spend tens of thousands of dollars, approximately $65,000 a month in advertising and marketing, yet they spend less than $1,000 in talent acquisition, talent development, training, team building, etc. Did you realize that when you were there? You know what I mean? Like, did you also get that vibe that there is a big disconnect from like the automotive ownership and management as it relates to people and the importance of the value of people?
Absolutely. And here's part of the problem that I saw. People don't pay attention to this, but as of June of last year, 942,000 people, I'm gonna say this again because I know you're a numbers guy, 942,000 people walked away from their jobs as of June of last year, right? 942,000 people walked away from their jobs. So what it takes to actually bring quality people in, because the talent pool is at its highest point ever. All the talent didn't disappear into the vapor. It didn't disappear into the cosmos. No alien race came down and beamed the talent off the planet. It's still here. What we have to do to draw that talent in and train them properly to become a success, that's going to be radically different. So what worked in the past is not going to work in the present. We got to be able to understand, number one, what these people actually want, since COVID-19 has changed the mindset of most of the folks out there that's on the front line. And number two, are we doing everything we can to ensure that they succeed, right? If I'm the owner, I don't win unless everybody on my team wins. I want you guys to understand this. I don't win unless everybody on my team wins, which means I got to make sure I have the tools, the resources, and most importantly, the education and the insight in place to make sure that my place is something of wonder, where they want to show up every single day to work. It's a fun place for them to show up every day and work, but no one is struggling because they've been properly prepared to go on a life's battlefield. They know how to swing their sword and hold their shield and do battle every single day and bring back that victory, not only for them, but for their families. Absolutely.
I love this. So I think that a lot of people also, we talked about mindset, is that if they go in thinking that they're not going to be successful, they're not going to sell a lot of cars, that's what's going to happen. But you've got to witness two people that you sat in front of, ate with, that broke records. You spoke to the white version of Michael Jordan for our industry. You know what I mean? Like Cody sold 154 cars in March on the showroom floor. Chrissy Burton, as a double minority, as an African-American female, sold 75 cars in a month on the showroom floor. So when it's one thing to hear about Bigfoot and Sasquatch and fucking whatever, but to see two people that breathe the same air that you do, that are operating at the highest levels in the world at car sales, so they personify what is possible in the industry. But yet, let's go to the average. The average is 9.6 cars.
Yes.
So this is where you can freestyle for a couple of minutes here or 10 minutes or whatever it is. And just like that's what I want you to talk about is that if this is what drives me crazy, my brother, is if there's people like Cody, Ali Retta, Frank Cernity, T got your keys, Tiana Mick, Kalina Bradley, K got you covered, D-Rock got your key fob, Dylan, these are people that are crushing it in car sales. But why is it that the vast majority suck and are complacent with mediocrity? I believe that part of it is their own fault, mindset, that they think that they're on the nipple or the umbilical cord at the dealership. They're waiting for mommy or daddy at the dealership to give them leads, give them prospects. They are not taking this shit seriously, that car sales is like owning your own business. You can't be running around, I got my own business, but acting like a punk ass basic employee. You know what I mean? You can't have your cake and eat it too. It's either or, metaphorically speaking, is that if you really want to be about this automotive life, you've got to think, act like a boss, not think and act like an employee, and a pissed off employee, an entitled employee, a dependent, codependent employee. Brother, what do you say about that?
So I'm going to drop 3 nuggets real quick that should answer this thing in a nutshell. Number one, you are the captain of your ship. I'm going to say this again, because a lot of times people show up to work and they think the person they report to, the person that actually cuts the check, is the captain. No, you are the captain of your own ship, because your ship is your mindset. The reason why it was so powerful to have Cody and the host of others stand up and give them their roses and say, hey, these folks are dynamic. And not only are they dynamic, they got great work ethic, but this is what they did exceptionally well to knock these numbers out the box and blow 9.6 cars out the water like it's nothing, is you gave the room a chance to understand one key principle that I live by. It's hard to be a thing if you can't see a thing. I'm going to say it again. It's hard to be a thing if you can't see a thing. See, if I'm a baby cheetah and I'm designed to run 70 miles per hour, that's locked inside to my genetic DNA. I don't have to go out there and study how to run 70 miles per hour. That's already a part of my genetic makeup. But I don't know that I can run 70 miles per hour until I see that mama cheetah run 70 miles per hour. The more I see mama run 70 miles per hour, I start to think to myself, I look like mama. I mean, I got the same fur as mama. I got the little stripes under my eyes as mama. I mean, I walk like her. My tail looks like her. I wonder if I can run like her. I wonder if I can run 70 miles per hour just like mama. So the issue being is, are we taking our superstars, or are we taking superstars from other arenas and saying, hey guys, this can be done because here's the living proof that it can be done because you can't hit a target that you don't even know you're allowed to aim at. I'm gonna say that again. You can't hit a target that you don't even know you're allowed to aim at. So mindset is everything, but what you feed the mind is what your process. So I gotta make sure I'm feeding the mind success results instead of what I call mental junk food. I'm gonna say it again, success results instead of mental junk food. Number two, we gotta be willing to think outside the box. The problem is we are in an industry where there's a paradigm of what we think we can do every single day that's designed to give us a result. Well, we know since the market crashed in 2020 that paradigm is out the window. The thing that's so beautiful about what you've done with some of your staff, Sean, is you allow your staff to think outside the box so they can get their results. There's a certain measure of creativity locked inside of every single one of us since childhood. The problem is when we hit adulthood, we're told to take that creativity and put it on the shelf and don't touch it because you don't need your creativity to do this job. Here's the details of the job. Here are the resources for the job. Go out there and make it work. But what if my creativity can make that work exceptionally well? I'm a gifted creative speaker. You better believe, Sean, if I was in your industry on your floor, I'd be using this gift the gab to sell 50 cars to somebody at the same time because I know my gift and talent. Most importantly, I know my creativity. So am I willing to let some of my staff access and bring their creativity to the table? You know, Cody has his own site. I mean, come on now. He's generating leads because he's thinking outside the box. So in this industry, are we all willing to say, hey, we know what we did in the past that worked. We know where we are now. Is it time to look at the paradigm and have a paradigm shift and start thinking radically outside the box, right? And then the last thing I want to say is, are we playing checkers versus chess? I'm going to say this again, checkers versus chess. And the reason why this is so important, guys, as a kid growing up, checkers was one of my favorite games to play. And in third grade, I was a checkers champion. I learned how to play checkers so well that, you know, you really only played checkers when it was indoor recess, when it rained outside, it was too cold. So we would play fire before smoke. And literally, I would front jump you, back jump you, double jump you, side jump you. If your mama got on this game to play against me, I jump her too, because I had no mercy in the game of checkers. I was that type of beast. But a few years later, there was a mentor who came into my life who taught me how to play chess. And if you don't understand the dynamics between the two in the game of checkers, your job is to keep jumping over pieces until you wipe everything off the board, right? But in the game of chess, you're not trying to get everything off the board. You're focused on one thing and one thing only. That's putting the king in checkmate. So I'm not just doing moves to get stuff out the way. I'm being very methodical and I'm being very, very strategic. What I'm going to encourage everybody, whether you are an owner, whether you are a vendor, or whether you're a salesperson, to check what game you are playing in the year 2022. Are you playing checkers where you're kind of a jack of all trades but a master of none because you're jumping over every little single thing just to get the board cleared, right? Because we know busy work and productive work are two different things. Busy work and productive work are two different things. Or am I playing chess where I'm taking my gifts, my talents, my ability to think outside the box, the education, the resources, most importantly, the training, because training is one of the biggest things in any industry that creates great employees and raises the value of the money flowing into the business, right? And am I taking that to put my goals and dreams in checkmate? When I look at Cody took his gift, his talent, the ability to think outside the box, the education that dealer synergy provide. And what he ended up doing was putting that number in checkmate. And I got to tell you something, that number wasn't 9.6 cars. It definitely wasn't 9.6 cars. He was thinking radically higher, which gave him a different radical result. Now, I'll leave you on this note. The reason why most people in business fail to understand this, because whether you're playing checkers with your life or playing chess with your life, you can see the board game looks exactly the same. The board game looks exactly the same. So I got to be clear when I get on the battlefield, what game am I actually playing in the season of 2022, which I call the new you. Absolutely, Sean. Absolutely.
Man, you know what's interesting is that you, in a short amount of time, were able to observe and absorb the industry, the strengths, weaknesses, the opportunities, etc. And your mind's got to be, you know, kind of spinning. So I'm really impressed with how fast you're able to kind of pick up. But then in all fairness, like I told you, it's like dog years. I mean, like one day is like 7 or 10 days in a normal thing. It was just so much going on. Okay,
absolutely.
So then the question is, for a salesperson first, okay, we're going to go into managers and then owners. I'm going to explain this. So here's the profile. The average salesperson is working, even in the pandemic, like about 50 hours a week. They're mostly commission based, which is a whole different dynamic. I mean, like a lot of people, they jump. It's very transient. You know what I mean? Our industry is very transient, meaning that it's like waiters and waitresses. They think they can go to the next store and it could be better. You know what I mean? But, it's not the case.
Yeah.
What do you say to those people? How do you get their mindset straight? Because we don't know, like, this is a big question, but you know what I mean? Like, you're pretty badass at what you do. So I'm hoping you could have an answer. Part of the mindset is, yeah, I get it. I think I can. But here's the reality. First and foremost, there's different mind patterns people have. You have visual thinkers, kinesthetic thinkers, auditory thinkers, hybrid thinkers. You got different personality types, relators, socializers, analytical people, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. Then you have different people that are maturity level. They're dependent, they're codependent, they're independent, or they're intradependent. They practice interdependence. So there's all these combinations.
Sure.
We don't know who these people are or whatever. So how do you advise people that are at whatever stage, whatever profile they are, to go from to that next level? What is step one? Because we talked about this. There's a lot of trainers out there and speakers that make you feel good. You know what I'm saying? They make you feel good. Like in my Eddie Murphy voice from Shrek, in my donkey voice, you know what I'm saying? Like waffles. You know what I'm saying? Like, they make you feel good. You know what I mean? Like when I hear Eddie Murphy say waffles, I want some waffles. I mean, if you talk, and you talk success, like I want success because Kareem says I can be successful. But then when you're done talking, there's no fucking road. You know what I mean? Like they just what do I do now? So I'm asking you, because you talk about G.P.S. and shit like that. So come on, brother. What is step one? What do they do if they want to change? What's step one?
Okay. So step one, we got to be honest with ourselves, right? And when I say honest, be honest. What that means is this. As a child growing up, my kindergarten teacher said, good, better, best, never let it rest till your good becomes your better and your better becomes your best. I'm going to say it again. Good, better, best, never let it rest till your good becomes your better and your better becomes your best. That means that no matter what stage of the game you're at, there's always another level for success. There's always another level for success. So when I say be honest with myself, number one, am I living inside a comfort zone? Most of us have success on some level, and then we create a comfort bubble around it, right? And we know as long as we can stay within the parameter of that comfort bubble, we know exactly what we need to do to create that level of success. So number one, I got to be honest. Am I overperforming right now? Am I performing just enough to hit the benchmark? Because with a lot of people, just the idea of selling 9.6 cars when they first started out, that was a challenge to them, right? The moment they start hitting it on a regular basis, that becomes the norm. A lot of people know they can go beyond that, but they're not challenging themselves to step outside the comfort zone because there's not really a repercussion for not hitting that minimal benchmark. So I got to be honest with myself. Number one, am I in a comfort zone? And then number two, if I am in a comfort zone, what are my weaknesses? A lot of times we focus on our strengths, but it's not your strength that's holding you back. It's your weakness that's holding you back. So if I know I need to brush up on my communication techniques because I'm not really good at communicating with somebody, I can sell something all day long, right? I know how to be creative to get people into the room, but I'm not using certain skill sets the right way. Am I willing to sit down and do the homework needed so I can brush up on my weak points? Because my weak points are usually the distance between being over successful and being under successful. So number two, I got to figure out what my weak parts are. And then number three, I need to have someone that's going to hold me accountable. I honestly need to have someone who's going to hold me accountable. It's kind of funny because for those of us that are married, we got partners that hold us accountable for a lot of things, right? Because we know we won't get that stuff done on our own. So if I got a new benchmark and a new standard, who's the person that specifically hold me accountable to go out there and try to purposely better my best? So I'm going to say, number one, am I in a comfort zone? Because most of us fall into a comfort zone and we're not even realizing we're in a comfort zone. Right. And the way you know you're in comfort zone, if everything you do is habitual at this point in time, meaning you park your car in the same spot 9 times out of 10, you have the same food on a regular basis 9 times out of 10, you have the same types of conversations, you, my friend, may be living inside a comfort zone. So if we're doing those things in the comfort zone, what are the other things that's affecting my performance that's in a comfort zone as well? And once I can be honest with myself, what's the weak point in me? What should I brush up on, whether it's requesting specific training or doing a little bit of shadow work on my own? Because you don't necessarily have to limit your training, your thinking just to go into what you do at work. There's all types of books and courses and things you can find out on your own that's going to help you become a better person. When I think about Cody's success, I got to believe that Cody learned some of that stuff by doing shadow work on his own. He didn't come into work and say, I need help with X, Y, Z. I got to believe some of that stuff was just self-homework assignments to better his best. And then last but not least, I need someone to hold me accountable so that way I don't fall back into the realm of comfort. So that would be my thing starting off.
Man. Okay, so let's say that's great for that classification. What about managers? I want you to freestyle for a minute to managers, because again, managers, in my opinion, a manager's job should be to build a sales team to help those people identify, their maximum potential, like whatever it is. So if I got 5 or 10 salespeople under me, my job is to individually, on an individual level and a macro level, help them get to the next level. That means training them, motivating them, supporting them. That means, providing every resource for them to evolve, but it's also helping them identify all obstacles, all objections, all problems, and help them, obliterate those things, help them break through anything that's going to hold them back. And then also to provide resources for them to be successful. But unfortunately, as I mentioned before, most managers, what they do is that they focus on marketing, advertising, throwing shit against the wall, and whatever sticks. So I want you to kind of talk about to the managers, like start by saying managers, it is important to shift your paradigm on people development, talent development, instead of just marketing, advertising, and why.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Attention auto dealers, you need an opportunity to do business. AutoWeb is one of the largest suppliers of high quality leads. I mean, high quality buyers. At a 10% closing ratio, you will be at less than $190 per car sold. Don't just settle for what you get. AutoWeb can fully customize your results through targeted markets and/or zip codes, and as a partner, you will get premium placement within search results. Who better to do that than literally the people that invented automotive internet sales? If you want to sell more cars more often and more profitably, then you need AutoWeb.
Okay, so I'm gonna say something. I hope I don't piss a bunch of folks off, right? Charge it to my heart, not to my head, right? Charge to the heart, not to the head. Please don't take this offensively, but I'm going to keep it 100 every time. If I ever have been called into any organization, regardless of what product they sell, what widget they produce, and if it's underperforming, typically it's a leadership problem, because leadership trickles from the top down to the bottom. You can have the best sales team in the world, but if leadership is not all the way glued together right, the byproduct is going to be a sales team that's disorganized and not hitting benchmark goals on a regular basis. There's a John Maxwell principle that I love so much. He says, leadership is influence. Influence is opportunity. Let me run that back in case anybody missed it. Anybody's in the nosebleeds. They said, I didn't hear what he said. I need you to lean in. He said, leadership is influence. Influence is opportunity. So if I want to be successful at my job and I'm in charge of people, right? I got to be the best leader I can be. That means not only knowing my job, but understanding the needs of my people. It's not about me just throwing money and marketing out there and getting a bunch of customers into the floor if my staff is not trained well enough to convert the folks coming inside. There's the disconnect on that, right? You can run ads 24/7 around the clock and have 500 people walk in the next 20 minutes. But if my team is not equipped to understand the needs and how to convert them into actual sales, then the money is wasted money, which is why I'm always strong on the development of talent versus just the marketing to get them inside the doors. I've seen so many organizations do this, right? So as a leader, my job is to create influence. The greatest way I create influence is knowing not only the business, but the specific needs, high points and weaknesses of every person that's underneath me, and making sure that I'm able to develop and offer what they need is going to take them to the next level. If I got 10 members on my team and 5 of them are operating at a 10 and 3 of them are operating at a 7, my job is to make sure everybody's operating at a 10. So I got to know what you need. What can I give to you? What can I offer is going to get you at that level of 10? So leadership is influence, but watch this, Sean. Influence is opportunity. Leadership is influence, but influence is opportunity. That means the more influence I have over my team by making sure they got everything they need to win, it creates more opportunities. So now the opportunities are now coming to me versus me getting up every day trying to knock on doors looking for opportunities. You want to be in a place and space where the opportunities are coming to chase you down. Why? Because the better salespeople you have, word of mouth travels fast. Word of mouth about how a customer was handled, great reviews. We talk about video testimonials. When word of mouth gets out there and those testimonials hit the internet about the value that they got when they came there, people start coming and your marketing makes no difference, right? I don't see too many Chick-fil-A commercials that come on my TV, but Chick-fil-A kicks every restaurant's ass in the fast food industry. Why? Because when you go to Chick-fil-A, you know the customer service they have trained them is different than a McDonald's. It's going to be different than a Burger King. It's going to be different than a Whataburger. You already know off the bat, the customer service is so good at some moment in time, you have told somebody about me. The service, I got a Chick-fil-A. I mean, it was just that sandwich with them 2 pickles on it, but damn, I mean, they gave me great customer service from the time I pulled up to the time I pulled off. And she made sure I had 7 or 8 of those little barbecue sauces. I ain't have to fight and beg and borrow. They gave them to me voluntarily. That is customer service training. I don't see too many Chick-fil-A ads. And I had the pleasure of meeting the owner of Chick-fil-A before he passed away. He knew exactly what he was doing when he was building out that particular brand. So for the managers, are you being the best leader you can be? Because if you're the best leader and you can actually attest to the needs of your team, at that moment, you become mega influential. And the more influence you create, the more opportunities start to chase you down versus you getting up every day looking for opportunities.
Man, I freaking love this, my friend. I absolutely, love this. Okay, so how do you feel that you can help dealers the most after you being at the IS20G for 3 days and hearing this? Like, again, like this is something I learned from Covey is the third habit, put first things first. Yes. Be careful of distractions disguised as opportunities. So there's a lot of things that I'm sure that Karim Ellis can do. There's a lot of things that you're super smart at. But if you had the preeminent superpower, what is it you could do to help dealers, whether they're the salespeople, they're the managers, they're the owners, who could you help the most or the best? And then how could you do that?
Absolutely. So I'm that individual that fits into almost every genre with your industry. And here's the reason why. I tell everybody thoughts are things. Your thoughts are actual things. The problem with most of us, our thoughts typically tend to betray us, whether we're in a comfort zone or we're in a downward spiral, our thoughts betray us. So they call me the #1 breakthrough strategist because my job is to help people and industries and organizations hit that bench level mark of breakthrough that takes them into their next season. When I see anything that's stagnant or I see any industry that has room for growth, but they haven't hit it there, the first thing we got to do is be transformed by the renewing of our mind. That means we need to think about our results differently than we have in the past. So as a coach, my job is to sit the staff down, figure out what their sticking points are, what the blocking points are, and let's start to extract some of those negative mindsets that's keeping people locked in the world of limitation. And let's put some new thoughts, some new patterns, some new ideas, most importantly, some new strategies and techniques that's going to help them take business to the next level. So as a leadership coach and a breakthrough strategist, my job is to take a look at the sticking points, what has you locked in place, and say, all right, let's knock that paradigm down. That brick wall has to be knocked down so we can rebuild this foundation mentally and help take it to the next level. And last but not least, the goal is to leave the tools there behind. So most importantly, as they bring new members in, they don't have to go back to ground zero. You have a foundational piece that you can actually teach off of, in addition to the sales techniques you're already using, that's going to help ensure every person that comes through this door from this year to next year to years down the road, they understand why the mindset has to be that of a killer when they get on the floor. I'll say this one thing right here, because right now, my favorite animal is a cheetah. I love using cheetah analogies. I've never seen a cheetah get up to chase his meal and have doubt that it's going to catch something. I've never seen that. If that cheetah wakes up with any doubt in his mind that it's going to catch that gazelle, that cheetah might as well go home hungry, because our thoughts create our results. Our thoughts create our results. So the goal here is to break through your sticking point and give you maximized thoughts. So everyone from the sales team to the management team and even the owners understand every single day I got the ability to run 70 miles per hour and crush whatever's in my pathway. Absolutely.
Yo, Karim, this is crazy. Crazy. You work with all sorts of stuff, and you have a background in real estate too. Can you talk about your real estate background?
Absolutely. So I started my journey with real estate many years ago, right? So I still do have my license. I never got rid of that. That's part of the byproduct of doing a lot of deals, because there was a season where we did a lot of short sales. You have to have a licensed realtor somewhere in the mix. But I've been doing real estate for years. I originally started out with a technique called wholesaling, and then we jumped over to just simply buying, fixing, flipping, rehabbing, and grabbing assets and holding on to them. So the real estate industry, it kind of parallels in an odd way the automotive industry, because you have a lot of the similar mindsets, the similar goals in the automotive industry that you do in the real estate industry. The only difference is the houses stand still and the cars are designed to go.
I think it's a little bit more than that. I think that there's way more car sales than there are home sales.
Yes.
And the frequency too is faster. Like when you lease every 36 months, it's there.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, and this is going to be a really cool part of the conversation we're going to transition to now, is that, in my opinion, that with real estate agents, there's a big difference. When you're done getting your license, that you're on your own. You need to turn around and have a marketing strategy, an advertising strategy. That's where there's billboards, there's diner mats, there's web stuff. For whatever reason, I don't understand, Karim, why the fuck salespeople in the car industry don't have that same type of intensity and clarity that they're their own business. So a real estate agent knows that they have got to build their business from scratch. That Remax and, Century 21, whoever's there, they're not going to give you a bunch of deals. They might give you some leads, but you are going to be the one that's in charge of it. So tell me, why do you think real estate agents are conditioned or more prepared to be entrepreneurial or to be their own boss?
Wow. So I love that you said that, right? Because here's the big difference I see between the real estate world and the automobile world, right? In the automobile world, your customers come to you. Let's just keep it clear. Your customers walk through the door, and when they walk through the door, there's a 99% chance they want to buy a car. With the exception of the window shopper who's just out there wasting somebody's time, with a person know their credit is in 400 and they know they waste somebody's time. 99% of the time they're there. It's just, can I convince them to buy from us? They got money to spend. They're going to buy from somebody. Can they buy from us, right? Where in the real estate world, there's no one coming in there like that, right? Which means they have to go out there and go look for their meal. Don't get me wrong. The real estate world does have phone time where people randomly call in and say, hey, I got a house to sell, but that's few and in between unless you are a rock star realtor. Rockstar realtors do a good job of putting their information out there to say, I'm the cream of the crop. So that way, what I said earlier, leadership, influence, opportunity. Rockstar realtors have created a leadership around themselves that they're the best there is out there, which is influential on social media and different circles. They belong to different organizations, different networking groups. And so that word gets out. And so the opportunities chase them. I heard you the best person in the world to get my house sold. You can do it the quickest and the fastest. But most realtors understand if I don't produce, I don't eat, which means I have to think outside the box on how I get my phone to ring. If I got a door knock, if I got to put some stickers on the back of my car, there's no limitation on what they can do as long as they don't break realtor laws. That's it. But there's a different mindset because they're trained that coming through the training class. When you get your license, you're told off the bat, you got to be hungry in a different dynamic if you want to eat in this industry.
See, and here's some facts that I need to give you with some knowledge, though, is I'm going to break some closing ratios down.
Sure.
The average internet prospect on average is a 90-day window period, and it's only 6% closing ratio within the first 30 days. 6%. So that's it, 6%. Then you have third-party leads, like third-party lead source providers are about 8%. Your website is between 14 and 16%. If somebody walks to your dealership, it's only about a 25 to 30% if they're just walking in. If it's an appointment, it's about a 50%. If it's a prior customer, it's 65% or 70%. For somebody that services their car, they are 7 times as likely to purchase where they're going to go next time. So what I'm just, all that data says, that people that are prior customers are way higher closing ratio and way higher gross. Fact one.
Sure.
Fact two is all of the major people like the Cody Carters, the Chrissy Burtons, like those type of people that are selling 75, 100, 150 plus cars a month. They don't take floor traffic. They don't take the bullshit from the walk-ins or the traffic or the phone calls or the tigers. They are 100% living their life like real estate agents. It's all repeat business, referrals, and their own prospects. So here's something I would tell you. I'm gonna coach you, Karim. I'm gonna coach you in my podcast, Karim. And I'm saying like Les Brown is Les Brown, but you're in my world right now. It's my pond. You know what I mean? Like he might be the ocean. You know what I'm saying? But this is my pond right here. And I'm gonna say to you that you've got a unique set of skills, like Liam Nielsen from Taken, when it comes to your real estate stuff. When you take your real estate ninja skills with your motivational like platform ninja skills, here's what I'm saying is that not only can you get people's mindset straight, one of the biggest values that I see that you can do is explain to people to think outside the box, but give them examples of prospects. Because if you're able to teach a salesperson, how do they generate referrals? How do they generate prospects? How do they market and advertise to, whether they're door knockers or they're cross promotionals or their diner mats or their billboards and stuff like that? That is a big thing that you can do. So I just want to give you some advice right there. All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe in outside the box thinking, right? And the problem, most of us, we got a mindset where we've been taught one thing and we don't revisit it. We just keep trying to make it work again and again and again and again. And when I see things start to decline, that's red flag number one that I should be rethinking, or at least taking a closer look to say, this isn't working. Why? And if it's not working, what else can we throw at this that may switch things up? I'm clear when I say this. 2020 has changed your industry forever. I don't see you guys going backwards at this point in time. So the way dominant salespeople will surpass the benchmark, the way the Cody cars would do it. Because I got to ask you a question. I don't know this. Was Cody always working for you, or was Cody working for someone else before coming into your dealership?
Right. True. He was working for somebody else.
Okay. So when he created the website, he created the website under your watch, correct?
He didn't work for me. He's got his own dealership. I mean,
he's got his own dealership.
He works at his own store. It has nothing to do with Dealer Synergy.
Okay, so
I don't own a dealership yet. So we're in the process of getting a franchise dealership right now, but we are a training company. So Cody works at Tustin Toyota in California, but he worked at another dealership in a different state before that. So within a short amount of time, I think like 5 or 6 years, he went from 0 cars to 150. It's absolutely mind blowing. He brought his own website there. That was all him. It has nothing to do with the dealership.
Now, this is the part I want to get at, right? I'm glad you clarified that, because I had that confused a little bit when you shouted him out. So this is what I want to get at. When he started his journey, no one told him to do that. They gave him the same business model that every person does, which is greet them when they come on the floor, vet them for their seriousness, right? Try to entice them based on what they're telling you monetary-wise or where you think they credit at. Do they need to be on the new lot or the old lot, right? Or are they wasting time? He had the same basic training as everybody else. He realized there's something ain't right here. He realized. Now, he could have threw in the towel, because let's be real. There's a lot of people that's not producing results that go, I'm not eating here, so they throw in the towel and walk away. Cody got a different type of mindset. Cody's a different type of beast. If you ever talk with him, you know he's a different type of beast. Instead of taking the training that was not working, he decided to adapt and adopt a different mindset and mix the two together. He created a hybrid, which is outside the box. He created his own website. To me, that's genius, because in the realtor world, we do that all the time. We do that all the time. We create our own lead generation website where we put our testimonials on there from folks we specifically created a bond with. We do all those things, and we let word of mouth penetrate the industry. So more and more folks are coming to us without us doing the legwork to go find them.
I love
right? And that's the mindset of it. So what if every dealership has a bunch of Cody cars doing the same exact thing, where we're giving them permission to break through their current level of success to a whole nother level, because we're giving them permission to think outside the box on a radical level, right? That's what I think the future of this industry is, especially start adding in all the other stuff we learned, like the metaverse stuff and stuff like this. Oh, this industry gonna get heated up real quick with competition. So in order for me not to get wiped out like the dinosaurs, I'm gonna say this again, We got to learn how to evolve. It's evolve or die. The car dealerships rest they soul. I pour a little liquor out for them, right? The ones who didn't make the 2020 jump, right? The ones that died in the 2020 snap and ain't came back yet, even though the Avengers put the gems back. Those are the ones who did not know how to adopt and adapt a new mindset moving forward. We got to adopt it, we got to adapt to it, and we got to move forward with it.
One last thing I want to just touch on before we wrap up here, but I have a lot of ideas for future stuff when I bring you back onto the podcast, is real estate itself. 90% of all millionaires invest in real estate. Grant Cardone was a car salesman for 30 years in the automotive industry. And on the low, nobody knew that all the money he was making in the automotive world, he was buying properties and apartments and all this other stuff. He's now the Discovery Channel's undercover billionaire with close to $4 billion in real estate assets. And he's got like close to $100 million in air transportation, 2 helicopters and a G650 brand new jet. And the reason why I say this is that he was a car salesman and he was a trainer. And how did he do this? Real estate. So I know a lot of millionaires in the automotive industry. And here's something that's crazy is that they don't make millions of dollars a year. I'm going to repeat that. A lot of millionaires I know are only making a couple $100,000, $300,000, but they're taking that money and they're investing it into real estate. So I want to just talk to you. I want to just ask like the last question, and then we can do a whole other session on this another day. Is actually 2-part question. Is one is, don't you agree that real estate is a hell of an investment if you know what you're doing to be able to accumulate wealth, passive income, etc.?
So that's a resounding yes, right? That's what got me out of my 9-to-5 corporate job, was the leverage of real estate, right? There are certain industries you can invest in. Real estate is always a sure bet. Even when the market plummets, if you hold it long enough, it's going to bounce back, right? We know we're on the cusp of a very large foreclosure boom. We know it's there. People have been paying their notes for about a year and a half now, and the bank is sitting on so many notes that are defaulted. It's just a matter of time before the pendulum swings this way, and this foreclosure market, I predict, is going to blow 2008 out the water. So there's a big shift coming where a lot of people are going to make a lot of money by jumping onto that side of the fence. But absolutely, if you buy right, and that's the key thing, you make money in real estate when you buy, not when you sell. So you got to have education. You got to have education. That's the key thing. But as long as you got education, then your money's always a safe bet in the real estate world. Absolutely. Grant's a genius. So then here's what I'm saying, because this is the type of stuff that I want to train my daughters in, and my nephew. Like, you take like Dylan, who wasn't at the conference, he wasn't able to make it. 19 years old, he was making $12 an hour at the bank, at Citizens Bank, whatever bank he was working at. And then, he went from $12 an hour to making $12,000 in a month. And then he ended up closing the first full year at 20 years old. Okay. He made $102,000, like legitimately. How are you 20 years old and you're making $102,000 the first year in the automotive industry? His mom, my sister-in-law, is an adult in her 40s that's got a master's degree and still owes her fucking college loans for her master's degree. And she's never in her life made $100,000 in a year. You know what I mean? So there's a lot that says a lot right there about how much money is in automotive. But this kid, he's 20 years old and lives with his mom and dad. That's not a shot. He's smart. He's just stacking dough. And I'm telling him, like, right now is not the right time to buy. But like you said, very soon, it's going to be. I lost you, Karim. Give me 1 second. Somebody just interrupted the call trying to, I guess they tried to call me. So I'm back.
No problem. So, you know what I mean? Like, but with him, I want him to invest into real estate. And this is something that like Cardone says, I agree with. If I could do it over, I would have never bought my $1 million house as my first house. I only bought one. I had 5 properties. But one of them, and I also have a company called Bradley Property Management with commercial properties, rental properties, etc. And I also am a 6-figure investor in Cardone Capital, into Grant Cardone. So I'm deep. And one of my businesses is real estate. And one thing that Cardone said that I really loved is that
he keeps calling me.
I don't know.
We talking about some good stuff. That's why it's gonna make it.
And this is the end of it. So I need you for like 2 more minutes. So here's what Grant says. He says if he could do it over, he would have never bought his first house. He would have bought an investment property and kept on renting. So can you imagine that this kid's making $100,000 plus a year? He lives at mom and dad's. He's got all the income coming in. I'm telling him buy a duplex and stay at mom and dad's for a couple years and just get the rental tenants in there. Things like that. I think another thing that you can do, this is a consultant, this is some Jerry Maguire show.
Here we go.
10%, you know what I mean? Is that, think about it. You have the ability, if you're working with high performers in the automotive industry, to teach them how to keep their money and make their money go further. Because there's a lot of people in automotive that train showroom sales, car sales, marketing, advertising, technology, whatever. But these dealers, nobody really teaches them. I do, you know what I mean? But there's plenty enough room for both of us, so we can work together. Is that, to be able to teach people how to make their money and keep it. Look at all the people that make money, athletes, rap stars, rock stars, people that win the lottery, they go broke because they're financially illiterate. And so, helping salespeople, because when you get that fat check, you want to buy rims, you want to buy diamonds, you want to go popping bottles with models in the club, whatever. But that's stupid shit. You know what I mean? What you want to be able to do is be disciplined and take that money and invest that into things that are safe. Real estate is one of them. So that's an idea.
Absolutely.
Do you like that idea that in a future conversations, we might just talk about the benefits of real estate? And then also, if you are a commissioned salesperson, how you take some of that money and put that into a pot to, to start saving for a down payment. And then from there, be able to turn on and buy a duplex or a triplex and then start it. Because that's, I think, a huge way that people could make money in this business is they make money from the car sales, but take that and invest it into hard assets that have, passive income and equity built into it.
So I love that you said that, because what you didn't know, I've been doing real estate for 20 years, right? So I'm speaking, I'm traveling, I'm doing all that stuff. Real estate never stopped. I want to say the first 10 years I was in real estate, every state has a local real estate investors club, right? I was on the board and I was actually teaching new investors how to get started in real estate, because a lot of people think when they hear licensed realtor, no, I started my journey as an investor, then got my license, right? So my thing was always about learning how to buy properties, buy them correctly, and get them to cash flow. My first job at 16 was McDonald's. If I could go back in time and do it all over again, I never would have worked at McDonald's. I'd have been buying houses. If I could do it all over again. So the young man you're talking about, very smart, because you want to stack as long as you can. Think about it this way, and I'll be graphic about it. Back in 2015, I found myself in a situation where I tried to break up a domestic dispute. I saw a guy getting ready to beat up on his girl, and I leapt out my Porsche to break up the altercation. I didn't put a hand on the guy. I was about a good 10 feet away, and I just yelled across the parking lot to get him to stop. The guy pulls a 9mm from behind his waist, lets off a round that struck me in my right knee, right? Thank God I talked him down so he didn't shoot the trigger again, right? So I'm still here, obviously, but I still got 4 screws in my right knee from where the bullet went in my knee. It broke into 8 pieces. And I had to have surgery and I had to have almost a year of physical therapy just to learn how to walk all over again. In that moment, everything business-wise came to a standstill. The only speaking engagement I took was the U.S. military, because I'd already had booked and signed that, and I didn't want to turn it down, right? But for a year, I was sidelined. The reason why nothing fell apart, I didn't lose anything. And at this moment, I wasn't married. I was single. The reason why nothing fell apart, because I had my money tucked in real estate. Real estate is like a mini ATM machine, where every month, if you buy properly, that's the key thing, buy properly, it's always going to give you money every month. So the more you own, the more money coming out. So even when you hit these hardships, a brother wasn't over here yelling out Aflac.
Yeah.
I didn't need the duck. I didn't need the duck, right? Because I had assets that was taking care of me on a regular monthly basis. So my quality of life never changed. So I'm always telling people, I don't care how super successful you are, you got to make that money, make money from you. To borrow a quote from that great philosopher that's on Shark Tank every week, right? Mr. Nasty, Mr. Wonderful, right? He says, he told one guy one time, the difference between me and you is this: you send your money onto the battlefield and it's getting slaughtered. I send my money onto the battlefield and it brings back prisoners of war in the form of other dollars. Woo. That was the deep, listen, I said, when the cameras go off, I'm going to punch him in his neck for telling me that on national TV in front of millions of people. He said, you send your money into the battlefield, it's getting slaughtered. I send my money onto the battlefield, it's bringing back prisoners of war in the form of other dollars. That's what real estate does. When you buy properly, it sends out your money into the battlefield and brings back other dollars in the form of prisoners of war, and you build a stronger financial army. So what Grant has said has been spot on. I know tons of people that do real estate. I know you do real estate. It is one of the key essentials if you want to be super successful in life. That money has to be properly planted to give you a strong line of defense, and most importantly, a very, very powerful offense. The difference between defense and offense, because we're going into Super Bowl territory. And the Cincinnati Bengals, while I'm not a fan, they stand a chance for the first time in 30-something years, right? I love the fact we got defense and offense, but in defense, you're trying to protect what you have. On offense, you're conquering territory. I don't know who needs to hear that right now. Are you playing defense with your money, or are you playing offense? Because defense means you holding on to stuff. Offense means I'm going out there and getting other dollars and bringing them back to work for me. Boom.
And listen, we're killing them right now with this information. We're going to stop right here. But again, Karim, thank you so much for being a speaker at the IS20G. Thank you for taking time to do this live stream in here. And again, what I want to do is I want to get the industry to get to know you. And then what we can do is actually plan. This is just freestyle, everybody that's listening to this. We just decided to set a time. But what we can do is, I don't think you're ready, or I'm ready, because I still am finding out more about you and your expertise, but I learned so much more from this conversation. What I want you to think about is, okay, let's turn around and in about a month or in about 5 weeks or so, let's do another one of these that's more strategic. And then I could do a huge marketing campaign, email blast to my tens of thousands of people, and actually have maybe an interactive webinar that we do in the Millionaire Car Salesman group and a podcast. But I think this was great, and it's different because I mostly don't have outside automotive people in the Millionaire Car Salesman, but what you have is so relevant from the mindset, from the skill set, and then especially with this real estate background as well. I think it'll help not only in the mindset and the skill set, but also in the post. If you're successful, how do you keep that money and make the money flip for you? So listen, Karim, thank you so much for being part of this. And I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you as well, man. And next year, I don't know how you want to top next year. I'm thinking now, I don't know what you're going to do next year, but you got your work cut out for you, brother. I don't know what you're going to do. I'm going to be amazed to see how you pull it off.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm going to worry about that when it comes. All right.
I got you.
So there you have it, the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. This podcast comes to you every week from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you have a question about the show or would like the chance to become a guest, feel free to contact us directly at 856-546-2440 or email us at millionairecarsalesman@gmail.com. This program is a presentation of Synergy Records. Produced by Tiana Mick and L.A. Williams. Production and engineering by L.A. Williams. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is hosted every week by L.A. Williams and the Millionaire Car Salesman himself, Sean V. Bradley. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast can be found everywhere, so please don't forget to review, subscribe to, and share the show. Thanks for listening to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and remember, where I'm from, money provides options. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is sponsored in part by Autoweb. If you enjoyed this podcast, then make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave us a review. Let some other folks know about it. Oh, and don't forget to join the Millionaire Car Salesman group on Facebook. We'll see you there.